Good afternoon, earthquake fans. It is Saturday, September 22nd at 2:35 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm here to start issuing some earthquake warnings and advisories. And I'm going to start off in the far west Pacific, in the Vanuatu Islands. I'm looking for a 5.4 magnitude earthquake to strike the Vanuatu Islands. And why am I looking for a 5.4? Well, let's start over here in Tonga. There was a 5.6 that struck today at 7:32 p.m. UTC time. And I project that that energy is going to travel right along these plate boundary right here, and it's going to strike the Vanuatu Islands north of New Caledonia. I'm expecting that to strike within 72 hours. Moving along, I'm going to move up into the Gulf of Alaska. There is a little bit of a silent zone over the last 24 hours as far as greater than magnitude 4 earthquakes go. And so I'm going to go ahead and issue a warning for a 4.7 magnitude earthquake to strike a little south of Anchorage. Could get up into Anchorage, but I think it will go south of Anchorage and a little bit to the west of Anchorage, although it very well could travel into Anchorage. It could very well hit Kodiak, and it could very well travel as far east as Juneau. And I'm looking for a 4.7. Now, why am I looking for a 4.7? Well, it's coming right off the hills in the last 24 hours of a 4.2 earthquake that struck the Aleutian Island chain, and also a 4.3 earthquake that struck the Aleutian Island chain. And those are both within the last 24 hours. As a matter of fact, these are within about an hour of each other. So those two earthquakes are going to stack, and it's going to increase some strength and strike again right at the plate boundary between the Pacific and the North American plate. Moving along, let me go into the Arabian Sea. This is a hotbed of activity right now. This is where the bigger earthquakes are, over in the Arabian Sea, over into the Mediterranean. This is my concern at the moment. I'm looking for anywhere between a 4.5 on up to a 5.5 to strike the Iran-Iraq-Turkey border. This is where I'm expecting the big energy to hit next. More likely than not, it's going to be in the mid-4 range, but it could get into the upper 4 range and into the mid-5 range. Why am I saying that? Well, coming out of Afghanistan within the last few hours, there was a 4.5. And there was also in Afghanistan a 4.9. And that's within the last 24 hours. I expect this energy to travel along this plate boundary here, and I expect it to get right up in between Iran, Iraq, Turkey border region. I'm expecting that energy to travel there. It could also hit Syria, Cyprus, Lebanon. It could hit that area as well. So this area right here, I'm looking for a mid-4 to mid-5 to strike. Now, why am I doing this now? Albania was hit with a 5.6 magnitude earthquake within the last 24 hours. And just looking at that, I just said, you know what, I got to get into this because I saw it coming and I didn't speak on it. So I'm going to stop just letting things happen and not speaking on it. I'm going to start speaking on things. So the largest earthquake within the last 30 years hit Albania, and that was a 5.6 magnitude. And so that's according to the Reuters news agency. And there were 68 people treated for injuries so far. 48 houses and 3 apartment buildings suffered cracks in the Tirana region. 42 houses and 4 apartment buildings were damaged in the Durrës region, and 20 more buildings were damaged in other areas. So clearly a 5.6 earthquake in Albania was a big flipping deal. Biggest quake in the last 30 years was a 5.6, and there were a lot of buildings that were damaged due to the construction style of buildings in Albania. So I'm going to get deeper into this, and I'm going to keep on issuing earthquake advisories and warnings until somebody says, Kamal, you're just so wrong all the time. Stop it. Or until I get forced to stop. So this is my new deal. I'm going to do this all the time. So get used to it. And I'm going to summarize what I did today. I'm looking for a 5.4 to strike the Vanuatu Islands. I'm looking for a 4.7 magnitude in the Gulf of Alaska. I'm looking for, more likely than not, a 4.5 to strike the Turkey, Syria, Iran, Iraq border region. Could grow to a 5.5 magnitude. Okay, so be careful there. These are the issues. These are the warnings that I'm issuing today at the moment. And I may issue some other warnings later on as I start tracking some other earthquakes. And I'd probably want to get into Mexico and South America the next time I issue some warnings. But for now, let's stick with what I'm giving out right now. Vanuatu, Gulf of Alaska, Turkey, Syria, Iran, Iraq. And I'll get into Albania probably a little bit later today or tomorrow. But for now, these are my warnings. 5.4, 4.7, 4.5 to 5.5. And I'll be back within a few days to find out, was I right, was I wrong, or was I crazy? Okay? So have a good rest of your weekend. Have a good afternoon. And I'm going to sign off. Thank you for supporting my channel. And if you have friends, family, please encourage them to subscribe. Thank you.